What's going on, people? Welcome back to the channel, man. Today we are at Sorinex HQ, and I'm here with the most incredible rack that you'll ever see or potentially have if you already have it, and that is the Apex rack. And today what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you guys how to make a seated calf raise using a couple of components that can attach to this rack. So yeah, man, let's get started. All right, guys, so here's the recipe that we're gonna need to make this happen. So first of all, your rack is going to need to have adjustable jammer arms. And then the other components that you'll need, I'll flip it around so we can see, is we're gonna need the removable thigh pad attachment. Now don't get that confused with the one that attaches to the FCC. It's completely different. And then we'll need the bulldog pad along with the appropriate hitch pins to go with each. And then the last piece that we will need is the J-squat along with the hitch pin to go with that. And once we have all these materials, then we can start building. All right, guys, so we got all of our components here, man. So let's start putting this thing together. So the first thing that we're gonna do is I'm gonna take this J-cup out of this jammer arm right here, and then we're gonna move this jammer arm all the way down to the bottom position right here. So we're gonna kick back our pressure plate in the back, unpop the pop pin on the side, and then we'll let this guy slide all the way down until he gets to the bottom hole. And then we're gonna secure the pop pin, and then on this particular build, the pressure plate is not secured simply because it's so far down that the lever can't be popped into place. But then now once we have the jammer arm right here, we're good to go for the next step. All right, guys, so next step, got our jammer arm down, pop pin secured. Like I said, the pressure plate is not actually pinned in on this particular setup, but that's fine because the motion that we're gonna be doing with the seated calf raise is not gonna put us in any type of risk for any type of serious injury. So the next step, we got our bulldog pad right here. And what we're gonna do with this guy is we're gonna put him on, and then we're gonna put our hitch pins in. So we're gonna put him in the bottommost hole right here. Hitch pin goes in. We secure the cotter pin on this first one. All right, so we grab our other hitch pin, and now we're gonna put him in, and we're gonna keep this guy at a slight angle. I find that that works the best for this setup. So we get our hitch pin in, and then we secure that one with the cotter pin as well. And I'll show you guys kind of what it looks like from a little ways back. So this is our setup now with step 2. Got the jammer arm down, bulldog pad is set, and it's set at a slight downward angle. So now we're moving on to the next step. All right, guys, next step, now that we got the jammer arm down, got our seat in place, next thing we're gonna do is put this J-squat on the end of the jammer arm. And this guy is not gonna slide all the way on because we still need space for the removable thigh pad attachment that's gonna act like the knee pads for this calf raise. We need space for that to attach. So this guy is actually gonna hang off a little bit, but we're still gonna make sure we get our hitch pin in there and make sure that it's a safe setup. So go ahead and line the J-squat up with the jammer arm. And then I like to just do a slight lift on that, and then you can push this guy forward. And now the jammer arm is sitting in between here. So then it just makes it easier, and then you don't have to worry about your J-squat unfolding on you while you're doing it. And then just slide that guy up a little bit more. Slide them up a little bit more until we get to our first available hole. So now we got our J-squat onto the jammer arm in the furthest position out that it can be with getting a hitch pin in. So now all you gotta do is lift your lever right here, get your J-squat in position. Now she's standing, we're ready to go on to the next step. All right, guys, so just before we go into the next step, I'm gonna show you guys what the setup looks like so far. So remember step 1, we got our jammer arm down into position. And then step 2, we put our bulldog pad on. And then we just finished up step 3 with the J-squat on right here. So now you can kind of see that the seated calf raise is kind of forming itself. So we got a couple more little things to do, and then we'll be able to rock and roll. All right, guys, so for this next step, we go ahead and sit on the bulldog pad, and then we're gonna put the removable thigh pad attachment on to work as our knee pads to do the calf raise. So while we're already in this position, we just go ahead and set this guy on here, get him set to where we want it. So some people might move it out a little bit further, some people might move it in a little bit closer. So it's just up to you. Once you get it set to where you want to, slide your hitch pin through, and like always, make sure you secure that with the cotter pin. And now we're pretty much ready to go. And I'm gonna add one more little piece, man, that just makes the experience a little bit nicer when you're doing your calf raise. But yeah, man, we're about there. All right, guys, the last little addition that I'm gonna put on here is just a little rubber squat wedge. And it just allows you to elevate your heels a little bit more. That way you get a deeper stretch at the bottom of the calf raise. So just sit back down on your setup here, and then go with the high portion of the wedge facing you. I'm gonna try to get him right up under those knee pads that you set up right there. And then now we're ready to roll. So the beautiful thing about this setup is when you get ready to start working, you don't have to do anything but sit down here and then go ahead and do a calf raise like this. Now it's engaged and it's ready to roll. And then now we just roll through our calf raise as we would normally. And of course, we're gonna put some weight on here in a second. But once you get done with your work and set, then all you need to do, lean forward, pull this bad boy up, back down to position. Now you're done and you're out. Alright guys, so earlier in the video I mentioned the removable thigh pad attachment is a piece that we would need for the seated calf raise build that we're doing. And as you saw, it was that piece right there. Now the other piece that sometimes can get confused with it is the thigh pad attachment for the FCC. So I went ahead and put these guys side by side just so you can look and see the difference. Now when this guy gets mounted onto an FCC, it's got the spacing right there to allow for that cable column. So if she goes on like that, and then that other one does not have that. So inherently they are different pieces and they work differently. So yeah man, just make sure you don't get those two confused when you're going to scoop one of them or something if you're trying to do something specific. And just for good measure guys, I'm gonna show you all how each of these mount just so you can further see the difference. So here's our removable thigh pad attachment. You saw how it went on earlier in a different orientation for the seated calf raise, but this is how it mounts. And if you'll notice, it mounts directly onto the 3x3 tubing, so there's no space. So the pads just extend from that mounting flange right there. And then if we look at the thigh pad for the FCC, then we see that there is a space in between the flanges that's just slotted for this stainless piece that comes off the cable column, and that's what the thigh pad itself actually leverages off of. So if this piece is not here, then this is just gonna fall flat down. There's nothing for it to hold itself up against or leverage against. So yeah man, that's just a good look at both of those, and you can further see a little bit more of the differences in the two and why they would not work in the same way. But yeah, that's about it. Yo, so there you have it guys. Seated calf raise, DIY fashion on your own rack at home. Now, once you get it dialed in on how to build this, it goes really, really quickly, man. The setup is not that long at all, but it's an awesome little setup for a calf raise machine if you don't have a dedicated one at home. But hope you guys enjoyed that, man. Looking forward to seeing some calves turn into cows. Until next time, guys, I'm out.
Cause these words go deep from my soul when I speak. Then the flows hit the souls of all those that I reach.